Well, you don't miss mess even with our pink ladies, do you?
I think I'm the luckiest man in Britain. Look at all these pink ladies here behind me. There we go, yes. Here in Chelmsford in Essex today, where they're having a monumental pink ladies protest here today with many speakers. I'll speak to some of them now.
I think it's been great. I mean, look, the weather has been atrocious. I mean, even this poor little dog wants to go home, look, but it's been freezing and raining. But you know what? The thing is, as we always say, if patriots are really patriotic and they're really determined about a cause, they'll come out rain or shine. And that's why we're all here. So we're all freezing to death. But the thing is, the women and children of this country, their safety, knows no bounds, and we have to do everything we can to protect them. And if it's raining and snowing, we'll still be here.
Trust me, it was freezing there yesterday. But there is quite a clear and consistent message from these ladies as to why their voices are needed now more than ever.
Women need to be heard. Women have been silenced for so long. Why should we get called so many names for sticking up for our country, Women fought to be able to vote. Women threw themselves in front of horses to be able to vote. One of my family members in the 1800s got arrested for being in a pub outside of ours. Women are finally having their voices heard, and it's so important.
Yeah, our women's voices do need to be heard. It's young girls and women that are the highest risk of violence and sexual assault by illegal migrants in our country. That's as we've reported many times here on GB News. Just last night, I recounted the harrowing story of an illegal migrant who was admitted to raping a 12-year-old girl. Now, many on the left call these pink ladies far right and racist, as you can imagine. Here's what the pink ladies had to say about that.
It's a really important movement because it is a movement that is led by women, supported by men. And at the end of the day, we need to come together. And when women stand together, when we rise together, we're a force to be reckoned with. And all we are doing is standing up for the safety and well-being of women and children in our local communities. That's not far right, it's right.
Yes, this is a country-wide movement of patriotic and passionate women. They've travelled far and wide to show their solidarity with these pink ladies yesterday.
What's brought you all the way down from East Yorkshire today?
So I'm one of those people, you can't sit on the sofa for too long and watch all these passionate women come together. And obviously, and through work I got in touch with Orla, and I think anyone around the country, female or even supporters of females and family men, can get involved with the Pink Ladies. We want to be run by women. I am a woman, I care about safety of my own child and my own future in this country to be able to walk my dog, ultimately. And yeah, these ladies are brilliant, and got to get off your sofa and come join us.
While I was there, I bumped into a woman who was sadly homeless in Chelmsford. Here is her damning verdict.
But a lot of these people are single men. Now, if you was born in this country and you're a single man or single woman, you do not stand a chance of getting any social housing whatsoever. You could be dying on the streets, and all you will get is a sleeping bag and 2 bottles of cold water. Because if they want us to take down our English flags, then everyone else across the country should take down their national flags.
Yeah, hear to that, eh? I also bumped into local Essex MP James McMurdoch, who had this to say about the protest.
I think they're very brave, and I think they're doing really quite important work. The only thing I'd say, and it's one of the reasons why I'm down here, just unofficially, just to sort of show my face, is I'm sorry they're having to do this. A lot of the challenges we're facing are quite preventable. We need some more serious and more sensible policy around a sort of Britain kind of prioritising safety of its citizens and things like that. And I think a lot of people, and I don't like talking about these things, but a lot of people feel like that's not happening. And these very brave women are doing a good job of putting that voice out.
But lots of raise the colours here as well. We can see on the flags up there. Lots of people call that far right. What do you make of that?
Oh, come on, it's nonsense, isn't it? This is just a little bit of patriotism, We've got a really rich, beautiful history, and I think the only thing to be ashamed of is to be ashamed of that. So, yeah, brilliant people. Go on, Essex.
There we go. And we also had one very special guest appearance from a dear friend of this show.
Media, the mainstream media, would like to deem people like me as extreme or far right for protesting outside these hotels. So when the Pink Ladies come along, and I was speaking to Orla about it, it was about changing the perception. These are worried mothers, worried grandmothers, aunties, sisters, and there's no more powerful message than a woman saying, I feel scared, or I'm scared for my family, my daughters. And people really started listening once the Pink Ladies stood up.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBNews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Well, on that note, I think we should discuss the importance of women's voices in this national emergency on this show with my panel. And on that panel, I've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and the star himself, businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Adam, well, I'll start with you, because we just saw you there. You were there yesterday. You actually spoke to the Pink Ladies. You addressed the crowd there. It was quite impressive, given how horrendous that weather was, and it really did feel like we were in the Arctic there yesterday. Great turnout, lots of women there. Why do you think women's voices are needed now more than ever?
Because we have the establishment and the mainstream media, as I said on that clip there, that want to try and demonise fathers like me. I've got 2 daughters. That's why I've been in Epping and so passionate with that cause. But it's so easy for the left just to say, oh, he's anti-immigration, he's anti-migrant. No, I'm not. I'm for women's rights. At the end of the day, it's women and girls that are being targeted by foreign men, unchecked, undocumented foreign men from cultures far different from our own, that treat women in their own country terribly. So they're being bussed in to this country in their tens of thousands. We're dumping them amongst our women and girls and hoping for the best. We've had the 12-year-old girl that was raped. We've had the 14-year-old girl that was sexually assaulted in Epping. We've had a murder, of several murders. We've had suspected terrorists, Alex. How can this be that we're the bad guys for protesting this? Look, at the end of the day, this is a movement led by women, supported by men. I will stand there every time I can, and I've got the free time to do so, because I would hope if I wasn't here, someone would do that for my daughters.
Absolutely right.
And for anyone that wants to label us far right, they need to go and have a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror. Because we are standing up for safety, and it's clearly a national emergency, and our women, our girls deserve better.
Linda, women on the panel, come to you. Do you think women are being listened to enough in this crisis? Because, of course, you know, it is women who are at the end of all of the, in my opinion, I know there's other forms of violence, but they're at the end of the sexual violence when it comes to illegal migrants in this country, who I also do know there is sexual violence against women by British people, by the way. However, the difference is that these people shouldn't be here. These extra crimes wouldn't be happening if these men weren't in Britain. Do you think women need to have a bigger voice in this?
Well, the truth is that at the moment they've got some traction, but the government isn't listening hard enough to these women. Now, what's happened here is you've got these migrants. Sometimes these migrants are only men. They're male-only hotels, and they're parachuted into the middle of communities, really, and that's what's causing the problem. Because let's face it, the countries that they've come from, Iran, Iraq, parts of Kuwait, Afghanistan, etc., they do treat women badly. That's why women from those countries, and I've worked with them, have tried to escape because they don't like the way they're treated there, particularly Afghanistan, where the girls, contracts are made to marry girls as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. They're married by 14. You know, some of them have had 10 children in Afghanistan by the time they're 30. They're obviously treated as second-class citizens in those countries. And so what do you expect? They're not going to change their culture overnight. I'm not saying that all immigrant men are bad
None of us are. None of us are. But
Never. I would never say that. But the fact of the matter is that it's a bad idea to have male-only hotels. And one of the things that really frightens me is you've got these management companies like Serco and ClearSpring who handled them, who used terminology like this service user, etc., instead of migrants or even asylum seekers. And the problem is you've got a total lack of accountability, therefore. So the government is not in control of what some of those companies are doing, and they're not doing their jobs properly often enough. And we're spending so much money on those contracts. Some of those contracts go until 2029.
I think some of them actually might have been extended
further
into 2034, actually, some of them now. I mean, this is what we're talking about, isn't it? It's a never-ending crisis. Yeah. Paul, I'll come to you because Kemi Badenoch and other leaders have said something interesting. And I tend to agree with Kemi Badenoch on this one. She says not all cultures are equal. And I think she's right. I think there are some people who come from specific cultures, not everybody from those cultures, but it seems to me more and more likely that, given the statistics we're at least aware of today, that some men from different cultures are more likely to commit a sexual crime against a woman than others. And therefore, I would say we have to stop this legal migrant crisis.
Well, I completely agree that if we believe in democracy, in the rule of law, in equal rights, freedom of speech, these basics of the Enlightenment, if you will, then that is the superior way of living. And that's why I'm in politics, because I believe that's the best way, everyone. I don't think some countries, are less deserving of democracy than others. I think everyone should have the same pluralistic democracy with contested ideas, freedom to speak out, and particularly equal rights for women. Linda's absolutely right on the hotels, by the way. That's one of the biggest public policy disasters of the last 20 years. It's costing us all a fortune. I mean, this government is going to try and close these hotels down. It'll take time and, we're in a mess over it. But I think it's quite right because sticking them in hotels, it's been a disaster, absolute disaster.
What they're going to do is, they're going to move them onto bases, which they'll still be allowed to roam freely in those communities, and then they're going to move, some of them will be moving into houses on people's streets, privately rented houses.
On the hotels, I think we need to go after the profits of the companies that have profited from it. I think you can sequestrate some of that money and
that's not their fault. That's the government's fault for agreeing to it.
Well, I think you can retrofit that and say, actually, we shouldn't be creating millionaires out of this system of hotels. And I think that's wrong. I've said before on this show, and I'll say it again, I think the young men in particular that are just waiting around for their processing to happen should be put in high vis and being sent out to clean up neighbourhoods and pick up litter and clean graffiti off walls, and they could get their daily allowance they get anyway for doing that brigaded work, so people can see they're doing something useful. But the most important thing for me is that you reduce the pull factors. So when Shabana Mahmood has talked about a Denmark-style asylum system where you stop the desire for people to come here in the first place, I think that's one of the best ways to fix the issue, to reduce the actual numbers overall.
I'll ask you on Paul's comment there about Shabana Mahmood's reforms. Do you think they're going to go far enough? Because I don't think they're going to stop anything.
They're not going to get through. Yeah. Let's be truthful now.
Why do you say that?
Because half the Labour government and Labour MPs have written before letters stopping deportation flights for actual criminal migrants. Sure. This is not going to go through. This is rhetoric to get on the front page and to look like you're acting tough. It's never going to get through the Labour Party. But one thing
I know the Labour Party better than you with respect, and I would say that if you put a three-line whip on that and you tell MPs, look, this is the government's policy, some will rebel. You're right. There are loony lefties that will rebel against it, but not in enough numbers, would I say.
But let's just say how serious this is. The reason we was in Chelmsford on Saturday is because Braintree is a few miles away. They are bussing in migrants, hundreds of migrants a day, into Chelmsford, We're getting lewd behaviour in that town, women feeling intimidated, men are getting drunk on taxpayers' money and getting bussed out.
That's disgraceful.
That is a disgrace, and we are the mugs as the taxpayer for paying for it.
Agreed.
We'll obviously have to confirm all those details, and we don't have evidence to prove that Essex Police, I'm sure, would deny it, Adam, but there we go. We'll have a look into it for you. Linda, final word to you on this one.
I think it's not just areas like that as well, because I've got one family member who lives fairly near Heathrow Airport, where they have the very, very big hotels full of asylum seekers. And those two present a danger. They're not in the community, so it's not quite the same. But someone tells me that once they pick up their cheque for whatever sum of money it is...
It's not much, though, is it?
It isn't much.
Yes.
Well, we have some gambling as well.
But they're down in the town centre buying alcohol, just like you say, and lounging about all day. And it's that kind of behaviour that I think women find threatening. Even if nothing actually happens, in the majority of cases, they don't feel comfortable walking around their hometowns.
And that's unacceptable.
And it's unacceptable, yeah.
All right, well, listen, thank you all very, very much for a hearty debate on that one. Personally, I think once we start deporting them, this problem will end, won't it? Anyway.